Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's Robert Phoenix, and it is another edition of 15 Minutes of Flame as I try to extract as much. Let's do this here. Extract as much mileage out of this whole computer before I go to another platform. Let's see. Here we go. Actual size. Yep. Okay. What's happening? It's Monday, Tuesday. We're back. Supposedly. It's going to be a fun one. I can tell. It's going to be a fun day. T. Jordan, what's happening? Good morning, Steve Mercer, my man. What's going on, Steve? It is definitely time for a new box. Beth Berry's in the house. Good morning. Anna Erickson, Leanne, Luigi Dragon Moon, showing up today. Welcome. We try to keep it on the road this morning. What's going on, Mr. Introspective Woodworker, Ryan himself? Good to see you. We need to put a little power in the system here. Maybe that might actually help. We'll see. There we go. There's that. All right. Lils is here. Tamara Garth. Tamara, looking forward to seeing you, by the way. When you come on down here. Colby Branson. What's going on, Colby? Nice to see you. Welcome to the show this morning. Live. There's Joe Mama. What's going on, Joe? Flop 77. Danica Rose. Christy. Another person going to be showing up. Let me see if I can. Ah, man. Life on this computer is so interesting. It is so interesting. Lori Seiler. Lori, I will get back to you after the show today. I saw you send me an email. There's Judy Anderson. What's going on, Judy? Yes, it is a very interesting time. Victoria V. Hey, Vivi, are you showing up? Question mark. Are you going to be coming to the old event? Joan W. What's going on? Hello. Good morning to you. Oh boy, we got a lot to talk about today. A lot to talk about today. Let's see who else we have in the house. Everybody else, we got 35 peoples. Let me see if I can. God, this is an amazing kind of experience here with this computer. 2 inches of snow. Whoa. Yeah, so we have had a lot of rain here in the last couple of days, and that's why I'm broadcasting to you indoors. Hey, Tessa's in the house. What's going on, Tessa? There's Haven. Hello, Haven. Miranda Couch. Hello, Miranda. Nice to see Laura D. Yeah, we've had rain. You know, I tell you, man, this whole thing gets real schizophrenic with the weather stuff. You know, when I was in California, we long time ago, we got a lot of rain. Garden Girl's in the house, and then I remember before I moved to Texas, there was a pretty big drought in Texas, and when we got here, well, that wasn't happening. The drought wasn't happening. I want to go to the event, but can't get over working at this time. Okay, well, maybe next time. Maybe next. I was kind of counting on you a little bit, I have to say, with your design skills. That's all right. We'll soldier on without you. Stephen Anderson in the house. Justice Moody. Tea time with Tessia. What's going on, Tessia? I get to go home today. Oh, Jesus, Tessia. You got a broken hip. Oh, my God. That's brutal. Christiane Gamble. Hello, Christiane. Beauty in the East. What's going on? Let's see. I'm so sorry to hear that. I didn't know you had a broken hip, Tessa. Oh, geez. That's a harsh one. Hope you don't have any steps. Steps are a killer in that experience. Elbow cough. Yeah, right. So the Frank Bry, what do we have here? Nasty and knocked out power to all of North Idaho. Well. Speaking of power, Tessa says she's okay. That is good to know. Good to know. Leanne Louise, what's happening? John G. Smoky Skies here in Reno. I bet for not the right reasons you want. For not the right reasons you want. Steve Sisolak. I just have 2 words. Steve Sisolak. Does that guy look like kind of an unctuous sort of thug pretending to be a governor. That he's one of the most unctuous looking people I've seen. Chris and Steve, what's going on? Emerald V, all the way from Bonn, Germany. We are truly international. We are transplanetary. We are multidimensional here in our expression. Yeah, so I'm inside today because it is a little inclement out there. Jimmy Hoffa, he's totally Jimmy Hoffa. Steve Sisolak is totally Jimmy Hoffa. We're going to have weather in the 80s here this week. It's like I feel really sorry for you people out in California, man. They're putting you through the ringer. Let me show you what's going on in California. I'm going to try to get a screen share in. It looks like my browser is frozen. It is definitely, ladies and gentlemen, it is definitely new computer time. I got to do something here, so give me a second. It may get a little weird here for a moment, but I got to try something to. There we go. Let's see. No. Now I'm totally frozen. We are totally frozen here. Isn't that interesting? Okay. All right. Oh, let's just love it. Oh boy, this is great. This is totally great. I thought I'd solve this, mother. Thought I'd solve this thing. Let's see what we got. Oh, not quite. Yeah. It's gonna be a chaos. Must be this Mars retrograde, Mars station. So I'm going to do something. Oh, not good. Okay. Let's see what we got here. stream. Okay, looks like we have an unmute situation, which is good. There we go. How's that? Are we happy now? Let's go back into audio. Yeah. Okay, we're going through the webcam. Let me just see if I can do something else here. Let's see what else we have. Default microphone. Let's see what we have here. Testing 1, 2. There we go. Now I'm through the. All right, I think we got it. We're here. Yay! Can I get a slight round of applause for changing horses midstream? That was interesting, huh? Well, that's it, man. That's it. That's that's at the last legs of the old 2009 laptop. Better days. Seen better days. Cool. All right. Thank you for your patience. I really appreciate it, and thank you for showing up here. Roughly around 9 o'clock every day. And Christine, what's going on, Christine? Sound is much clearer. Yeah, well, here we go. This is a professional headset right here. Professional headset with a professional microphone. This is, back in the old days, I don't know if you see this, but I'll show you. See, back in the old days, Yamaha was the gold standard. Like, you got Yamaha equipment, man, it was good equipment. Very, very good equipment. Now everything's fucking cheap. I don't know if this is the good old Yamaha days, but it will do. And again, thank you for your patience. All right, so shall we do a little prayer thing? I had somebody, by the way, I had a little tiny moment here, just as I was starting the show. We had this one car which seems to come by every now and then, just kind of cruise across the street quite slowly, made sure that I took notice, and then took a little turn into the driveway next to me, and then took off. Definitely took its time, sort of getting my. No, I'm not saying there's anything there's anything to do with that, but but yeah, you know what I'm saying. All right, let's go. All right, dear blessed and holy Father, Mother God, let's get into this today, man. We're gonna need some. We need some power. We're going to need some strength to get through this day, to get through these times. And I know a lot of people are certainly challenged. We're also going to try to keep our humor and our wits about us as much as possible. So let's see what we can pull in today. Dear blessed and holy Father, Mother God of the great central sun, within universal light, which is the light of Yeshua, Sananda, Emmanuel. We ask not only the highest and best information, truth, and wisdom come through this channel at this time. And that, as a result, everyone that is attuned to this stream be blessed in grace with the qualities of faith, humility, humor, intelligence, wit, patience, perseverance, flexibility, strength, courage, fortitude, wisdom, endurance, laughter, empathy, compassion, discernment, and above all, love. We ask that any karmic residue be cleansed, purified, clarified, and removed from this stream at this time so that we may re-enter our experience sovereign. All right, let's get going. Let's get going. A lot to talk about today. We're going to try and, jam this in about an hour's worth of time. So there's a lot of backlash happening with the wokety woke culture, and for good reason. Very good reason. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, the wokety woke culture. I want to play you Kirk Herbstreit. This is just laughable. I'm sorry. This might actually get me into band land. But this is loud. So college football started back up over the weekend. And oh my God, let me see if I can get the actual. We're going to be okay. So we are going to be absolutely subjected to endless bouts of re-education as we enter back into, the new normal. And the new normal has to do, at this point in time, with college football. Now, not all college football is going to be played. Some college football is going to be played. There are at least 3 conferences off the top of my head. We have the Pac-12, done. They're not playing any fall sports. There's another conference, a smaller conference, also on the West Coast. Fresno State's a part of it. I think UNLV, San Jose State. I think Boise State might be a part of it as well. Anyway, that's a whole other conference that will not be playing football. And the biggest of the big is the Big Ten. And the Big Ten has schools like Ohio State, University of Michigan, Michigan State University. They had a big vote to see if they were going to play. They needed 60% of the schools to vote yes, and that we're going to play. I think they got 4 schools. I think they got Ohio State's playing. Well, no, they're not playing, but they want to play. They want to play. They voted yes. I believe Nebraska voted yes, and I think both of the Iowa schools voted yes. Pretty sure that's how that thing broke down. Everybody else voted no. So as of this point in time, the Big Ten is not playing college football. So that means that there will be a college football season, in case you wanted to break up your monotony to some extent. But you will pay a price. You will pay a price, and you will be subjected to the new normal. And the new normal is going to be people who are commentators, as we've seen with the NBA, as we've seen with Major League Baseball. They just can't fall over themselves enough to be able to, oh, look who's here. Well, you can't come up right now. We're going to have to work this out today. Well, maybe not today. They can't follow themselves enough to be able to prove just how woke, just how relevant they are. And you do that by showing egregious amounts of empathy and perhaps even crocodile tears. Look, I don't think it is terrible or wrong to sit back and say, we need to have a real hard look at how we treat each other. I think that'd be the best way to go. That would be the most universal sort of path towards this. We need to have a good hard look with how we treat each other. Whether you're black or brown or yellow or white or whatever, right? This is what we need to do. We need to kind of have a reset for all of us. All of us. And if you wanted to step out and say, look, I really feel like, we need to have kind of a re-examination of our relationship with various cultures and races, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you want to do that's fine, right? You can look at it, re-examine, like, where do I chime in? And say, where I win? And you may come away and say, you know what? This is really not my fight. It's not my battle. Or you may say, you know what? I have been slightly, unfair with my point of view. All of us have to answer to one voice and one source only. And we know what that is. That's the only one that matters. That is the only one that matters. And if you can, in your clear conscience, look inside yourself, say, you know what? I'm doing okay. I treat people well, right? Across the board. Am I perfect? No. Are we all perfect? No, nobody's perfect. But if you're not there and you do have that kind of spiritual gut check moment, I think it's an okay thing to look at it and say, maybe I could be a better person. But I'll be damned if I'm going to allow an institution, whatever that institution is, cajole or bully or force me into a new set of behaviors or new set of behavioral patterns, because no institution has the right nor the power to do that, right? They just don't. They don't. They do if you consent. They do if you consent, but they don't really have the power to do that. They don't. Sorry. Even with the vaccine stuff, they don't have the power to do it. You consent, then they do. Then they do. And there are checkpoints of consent along the way of life. And if you consent at a certain critical time, then there may be a point of no return. Let me give you an example. Australia, for instance, at one point consented to have their weapons removed from them. That was a consent moment. That was a collective consent moment, and it had to do with who the administrators were, and and you had an event there. Some young guy who was mentally disabled, who supposedly went off, right? And it's always going to be either a Manchurian candidate or a patsy or somebody who can't even really sort of defend themselves in a court of law. I mean, it's a total setup, and their goal was to remove any kind of semblance of resistance by force that was available to the Australian people, and thinking that it was a minor piece to your civilization and culture, consented. Maybe you didn't want to consent. Maybe you didn't really think you had a choice. There is always a choice, even if the choice might be a painful choice. You always have a choice. And we may be staring down that choice very, very soon. November 1st is supposedly when Trump's magic vaccine comes into play. And I don't know if you've been watching the Kabuki Theater with Biden and Harris, but Harris said essentially, how can we trust Trump's vaccine? Oh, that's interesting. That's a very interesting kind of move. Right now, the left is questioning the vaccine. It's a very interesting piece. And I don't think the left is a paragon of virtue by any stretch. If they had the power to unleash a vaccine, you know damn well that they would. It's a political move, but it's an interesting, on some level, political move, because at the very least, it gets this idea of the vaccine kind of out in the open. Now, there's going to be a point here. It's going to be the 1st of November that they want to be able to make as many vaccinations available as possible. You know why that is? They want people to vote. We've talked about this before. They want people to be able to vote. And theoretically, if they've had the quote unquote vaccine, they're going to be safe. And there's no reason why the polls should be closed. This is a political move. It's a political ploy. I don't know if they're going to force people to show a vaccine certificate in order to vote. I don't think Trump wants that, because there are a lot of his voters that won't do it. So he would be essentially cordoning off a significant number of people who choose not to get the vaccine. So I want to play you something, though. This is how you bow down now. This is College Game Day, and with College Game Day, what they used to be able to do is they used to be able to go to the actual stadium itself, and they were able to kind of show up and interact with the fans. It was very festive. You'd have the giant foam fingers and all the shit that goes along with it. Oh, you can see my playlist there. But now they're not doing it. Now we live in Zoom world. This is Zoom world. So here we go. We have your College Game Day crew. And this is Kirk Herbstreit. He used to play quarterback for Ohio State. Watch this performance.
If you've listened, and the word empathy and compassion over these last 4 months, how do you listen to these stories and not feel pain and not want to help? You know what I mean? It's like wearing a hoodie and putting your hands at 10 and 2. Oh God, I better look out because I'm wearing Nike gear. Like what? What are we talking about? And so you can't relate to that if you're white, but you can listen and you can try to help, because this is not okay. It's just not.
It's not.
And we got to do better, man. We got it.
Look at this guy. That's Desmond Howard. He looks like he's embarrassed as shit right now. Look at he had his head down. And now she's going to start crying. She's going to start crying. Lee Corso, this guy, he's like a few seats behind Biden on the out to lunch bus. I hate to say it. Nice guy. Was a pretty decent coach, but the last few seasons he's been struggling with this event. All right, so let's continue with Mr. Crocodile Tears.
We gotta like lock arm in arm and be together in a football locker room. That stuff is gone. Those barriers are gone. And we got to do better.
Where are the tears? Where are the tears? There are no tears. This guy makes $2 million a year. You think that this is his way to reassure that he's got a $2 million a year job? You bet your ass.
One of the things and why sports can be.
No, look, now she's crying. She's crying, apparently. Let's watch her a little bit. I think it's Maria Taylor.
A leader in this area. It's happened throughout history.
Well, I'm not so sure. Let's see if she's got some real tears.
Jesse Owens and Jackie Robinson and Muhammad Ali.
Okay, well, here we go. I guess that's an emotional moment for her. And Desmond Howard's like, man, I'm really embarrassed at this point. And this guy, he's just sitting there. He's got his mouth shut. Watch him.
And the number of changes that have been.
Lee Corso's thinking, he's thinking, what kind of sandwich should I have today? Should I have the pastrami or should I have the club?
Instituted and awareness brought to because of sports. And there's a lot of good going on in college football. I know that even the Navy players.
Is she crying right now?
Have met with police departments. There is hope. But the number one thing we all have to do is make sure our hearts are tender and open.
Our hearts are tender or open while people who are associated with Antifa and BLM come running in and burn your fucking business down. These people they're so out to lunch. But they've got the corporate talking points. 80% of ESPN, 80% of the ownership of ESPN is Disney. The other 20% is Hearst. So we watch more of this Kabuki theater. No, I guess it's over. There you go, Kirk. Congratulations. You have saved your job for now. But if we ask for more contrition, you are contrition on demand, also known as COD. Look who's here. Well, come on, man. Come on, man. Look who's here. You've been waiting for him. You have been waiting for him. It is the return of the Astro Cat. But you cannot stay on my lap. All right? All right. The Astro Cat is back. By the way, if you have not discovered this guy right here, I think I can still probably share a screen. If you haven't discovered Joe Imbriano, the Fullerton Informer, I highly recommend this guy. Now, what he's talking about here, I'm wondering if I should play a little bit of this since we're kind of freewheeling it today. Let me make sure that the screen is up. Yeah, it looks like it is. Let me go back. It looks like it's there. So let me go to Imbriano. Where'd it go? And that's not there. Hold on a second. Here it is. Okay, I'm going to play a little bit of this. Now listen to what he has to say. He's also known as the Fullerton Informer. This guy is smart. He's edgy. I've been wanting to get him on the Friday show for a very long time. He's got about 5 different websites. He knows 5G inside out. He's also he's very, very informed around the vaccine issue. So let's hear what he has to say. I think this has to do with the lunches. Let's just play this for a little bit.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe Imbriano, the Fullerton Informer, coming to you live from the streets of Fullerton, California on this Friday, August 20th, 2020, folks. 8/20/20, right? All right. Yesterday, I had the misfortune and displeasure of being made aware of a very, very evil, disgusting, degenerate, filthy stunt that was perpetrated by a bunch of evil, degenerate, filthy scum over at Netflix, right?
Netflix.
That's right. Netflix chose to willfully and willingly use an image involving soft look, folks, I don't even want to say the word, but exploiting children.
He's talking about the Netflix series, and that is, what is it, Hotties or something like that? That's what he's talking about. There's a more relevant video. Not relevant. It's pretty relevant. Okay, so here's his website, thefullertoninformer.com. The coronavirus hoax is a massive psychological warfare operation. We know that. To usher in forced vaccinations, quarantines, relocations, incarcerations, travel restrictions, forced medical procedures, food shortages, and to end all of your rights. This guy is pretty amazing. He's pretty amazing. Now, when was this? This is February 10th, 2020. So he's going all the way back to February 10th. And you can read a lot of his stuff here. He's got 5G dangers, right? He's a Christian, so if Christianity turns you off, you may want to kind of reset this. It shouldn't, though. The guy's really, really smart. Really smart. So I would definitely spend some time with Joe Imbriano and the Fulton Informer. What I wanted to talk about, which is not the stream that I picked up, is he talked about, this was last week, he talked about what's going to be in the food, okay? What's going to be in the food. And he was talking about specifically Brucellus, the Brucellus virus. And he said that you need to be very, very careful about the food that you're buying, particularly dairy and particularly produce, because the Brucellus virus would be, some of the symptoms would mirror the symptoms of the so-called coronavirus or COVID-19. Now, remember, I'm not a news site. I am not a newscaster. I am not impersonating a newscaster. This really is for entertainment purposes only. So by being here and watching this video, you are consenting to the content that I am delivering. And if you do not want to be here, I'm giving you a moment. This has nothing to do with anybody in chat, right? This is people. These are people now who are watching this or will watch this. And I'm going to give you an opportunity to turn the broadcast off. That has nothing to do with anybody in chat. I'm just telling you, please do not take this personally. I'm not chasing anybody out. There's nobody that said anything. I'm not even looking at chat right now. Okay, just be clear about that. But if you do not want to listen to this broadcast, then it is time for you to tune out. Because after this point, you are consenting. You are consenting to be here. Anything past whatever this is in the broadcast, this time, I can't see the time, but you're consenting to be here. Okay, boom, done. All right. So what he's talking about is he's talking about how they were going to put this Brucellus, right, this Brucellus bacteria in the food so that people will show up on the next wave. And guess where that food is going to be? The schools, school lunches. So what are we going to have? We're going to have a bunch of kids going back to school. And what'll be very interesting on some level, not really interesting. Nothing is really interesting about this anymore. But I've seen the protocols that are going to be in place in the Austin schools. Let me tell you, it is not fun. It is not fun. All the kids will socially distance. They'll be monitored for their social distancing. If you're not social distancing, they've got cameras all over the schools. That's what they were doing this entire time. While people were not at school, they're installing all these systems so they could monitor your kids, right? You can monitor, and then they will have their temperature taken at least 2 or 3 times a day. At least 2 or 3 times a day, right? And if your temperature is above 100, guess what? You're tapping out. So there are some schools, if I'm not mistaken, which have actually sent out consent and permission forms that if your kid is sick, then they are going to, guess what? They're going to have to be removed from school. And if you're a parent who cannot provide the space for your child to theoretically recuperate from COVID-19 or the coronavirus, whatever, the Wuhan flu, whatever you want to call it, guess what? They got to go somewhere else. They have to go somewhere else. That's going to happen. And there are even some documents out there that will say that your kids have to prepare for an overnight. Well, what happens if there's an emergency and your kid has to be removed from the school and has to go somewhere overnight? Do you see where this is going? And if they have a bacteria in their food, question mark, then they can show signs of being quite sick. And if there's a number of them that are getting quite sick simultaneously, do you think they're going to send them all home? Do you think so? I don't think so. So this is something, if you have a school-age child, now all school districts are going to be different. Some schools are not allowing their kids to go back to school. Instead, they are doing schooling at home. Now, there was a kid who was at home, bizarre story. Let me see if I can find it. 12-year-old, I think, had a toy gun. And guess what? The kid was seen by the teacher, and he was suspended. I'll show you right here. It's a true story. It is a true story. I shit you not. Check it out. It's totally bizarre. This is it right here. 12-year-old suspended after teacher spots toy gun during virtual class. 12-year-old Colorado boy got a 5-day suspension for flashing a toy gun across his computer screen during an online art class. My God. The El Paso County Sheriff's Office said although the teacher thought it was a toy gun, authorities still did a welfare check on Isaiah Elliott without parental notification. Look at that, without parental notification. It was really frightening and upsetting for me as a parent, especially as the parent of an African-American young man, especially given what's going on in our country right now. Curtis Elliott, Isaiah's father, told KDVR he said his son, who has been diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactive disorder and has learning disabilities, wasn't aware the gun was shown on his screen. Well, it's pretty clear that he might make a really good candidate for the FBI, apparently, or whatever other group would like to take advantage of somebody who is disabled. He was in tears when the cops came. He was just in tears. This was his gun. The virtual setting is not the same as the school setting. The dad had it. He did not take the toy gun to school. He's in the comfort of his own home. It's a toy. The toy gun was neon green and black with an orange tip, featuring a word on the handle, Zombie Hunter. My God. Reports said the school district, the Whitefield District Number 3, refused to give the Elliott family the recording of the online class, but authorities showed the family a video of class from recording of a police body camera. We are living in a fucking police state. I'm sorry. The boy's mother said the punishment didn't fit the crime. For them to go as extreme as suspending for 5 days, sending the police out, having the police threaten to press charges against him because they want to compare the virtual environment to the actual school environment is insane, said Danny Elliott. She said she wishes the teacher had reasoned with the parents before condemning the boy. The school won't apologize for its discipline. The Grand Mountain School said in the statement, we follow all school board policies, whether we're in-person learning or distance learning. We take the safety of all of our students seriously. Safety is always our number one. Safety. It's always safety. Safety, safety, safety. The parents looking to enroll their son in a charter or private school. Good. Good. Get them the fuck out of that school. Get them out. I'm sorry. Get them out. So where will Black Lives Matter be with this? Where will they be with this? Do you think that they're going to protest that school district? I don't think so. I I don't think so. They're not going to protest at school district. This is invasive. This is really invasive. So what they've done is they have now decided to infiltrate your home. If you have a kid now, they're in your home. They're in your home and they're monitoring your kid. They're monitoring what your child has to do. They're monitoring what's going on in the background of your home. They're monitoring it. They're monitoring this whole thing. This whole thing. It's an ingenious way to gain entrance through consent vis-a-vis the public school program to get into your home. Now, that teacher could have handled it much better. The teacher, by the way, all the phone numbers for the students are available to teachers and the school. They're available. Of course they are. They could have phoned the kids' parents and said, hey, look, we just want to make sure that Isaiah's okay. That's a toy gun, right? Yes. Okay, great. Could you make sure that the next time he has an online class that's not visible because, it may upset some other students or whatever the fuck you want to say, right? But no. What does he get? He gets the Karen hammer. And then the police show up. Here we go. Now the police come. And now this is the downside and the dark side of the police. Right? They can't go out and muster up any kind of force for the most part with any of these so-called peaceful demonstrations, but they sure as hell can get over to a kid's house, lickety split, and investigate a toy gun. Oh, they got no problem with that. Yeah, no, they're relevant there. But when it comes to something else, it comes to, like stopping the burning of a black-owned business in Rochester, New York, they are AWL and MIA. Nowhere to be found. Nowhere. But when it comes to investigating a zombie killer gun, oh, they're there. Record time. Surprised they didn't take the kid out in cuffs and then take him to some sort of a detainment facility. And the boy's, supposedly black, African American. Well, let's see what kind of outrage BLM can muster for this. I guarantee you there will be no outrage at all. None whatsoever. Nope. None at all. They'll just, that's what they want. That's the kind of policing they want. They want the thought police. Oh, thought police are fine. Yeah, we support the thought police. But stopping us from doing anything, that's not the type of police we support. Oh, no. If you go to defend yourself and the police theoretically come out and, stop you from defending yourself, we support those kinds of police. Oh, yes. That kind of police we support. But the other kind of police we don't support. Like, let us do what we want to do. Stay away. We don't support your intervention there, but everything else, please intervene as much as possible. Please. Right? This is the mind fuck. This is the mind fuck that's going on. Everybody's having to deal with it. Now you got a 12-year-old kid. Now, will that show up on Tucker tonight? I'm thinking probably Tucker will have the parents on there. This is a Tucker moment. This is a big time Tucker moment. See, people don't understand what they're doing here. So now you're going to have another African-American male, a father. He'll be on there. He will be on there and he will basically show up and say, this is ridiculous. And Tucker will, do his Tucker thing, which will give him, some credence, some credibility. You give him the quizzical Tucker look if he needs to, and it'll happen. Guarantee it. Why? Because it was on Fox News, right? They covered the story. The kid's father will be on Fox News. I'll be talking about it. But this is the Orwellian nightmare that has been introduced now. The Orwellian nightmare has been introduced because now we're letting schools get into our homes and basically have the all-seeing eye as part of the education experience. And they're not even getting great education. They're getting whatever the school teaches them. So if you haven't enrolled your kid in another school and you theoretically can or should or could, I would highly recommend it. Highly, highly recommend. If you can homeschool your kid, I'd highly recommend it. Not everybody can, but it's probably one of the, and they'll know that too. They'll say, oh, geez, we got a lot of defections here. A lot of kids are not showing up for school, homeschool. Try to get their hooks into that too. When I say they, what am I talking about? I am talking about the egregore of consciousness, which has a command control kind of dictum that they want to be invested in every single item and every single affair of our lives, right? That's the all-seeing eye. It is a bipartisan effort, and it is connected to a number of different groups at a high level that want to assert a plan. And that plan is complete and utter surveillance and control. If you haven't figured that out, it's time to, open your eyes. And what we're seeing is a two-pronged approach, also known as the Pincer effect, which is forcing people into very narrow boxes. Very, very narrow. However, if you're Kirk Herbstreit and you display enough contrition and crocodile tears, you get a bit of a pass for a while. You get a bit of a pass. There's a lot more going on. I wanted to show you this one thing. This is like a little bit. So let me show you two things from Rochester that have happened. And Rochester's a war zone. Now, I don't know if you remember this, but when the whole BLM thing started to happen, there was a document that was found. And the document, whether it was from this series of protests that started in the spring or from a previous period, the document basically, and I showed this before, it showed basically how you're supposed to interact. Like if you were a protester, how you were supposed to interact during the event. Essentially what it was a playbook. And there were instructions. And there were instructions when to escalate, when not to escalate. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was from Rochester, New York. And one of the things that was part of that document was that we had insiders with the LEs, and the LEs are law enforcement. So essentially what that document was saying was that they had people inside the police department. And they do. That they have people inside the PD in various police departments, it's true, who are quote unquote sympathetic to their cause, if not indirectly, certainly directly. And in many cases, they can be police chiefs, and they've been put there. And then the police chiefs will go out and they'll recruit certain people. And then, of course, they have entrance exams to become a police officer. And if you have too much empathy, or you tend to think for yourself more, or your IQ is too high, guess what? You don't get in. You don't get in. So now all of a sudden you have candidates which can be easily trained and molded and basically told what to do. And I think a lot of that probably shows up in Australia, and perhaps even more in Australia. They probably have had a series of batteries and tests which have pre-qualified thuggish sociopaths who will do whatever they're told. It might actually get enjoyment out of it. Maybe they have a high sadistic kind of factor in their testing, because that would qualify them for basically, meting out any kind of pain or suffering upon their fellow Aussies, because it's already in them. You don't have to retrain them. It's already there. So these psychological tests are very good at filtering out people who might actually decide to do something different, or might actually think things through, which is probably the case in places like Rochester. Rochester's been on fire because, again, there was an event. And it's one of those places where it's isolated, right? It is small enough to have a Kenosha-like kind of middle American sort of vibe, but it's big enough to be city-like, right? So it's got that It's got that qualifier. And of course, what happens? They bring people in, they bust people in, they get the playbook, and they start just burning shit down. Burning shit down. All right. So what I want to do is I want to tee something up here. Let me see if I can find this. Here it is right here. So I find it. Let me go back. Hold on. See if I can get a better site. I think I saw a better site. Let me just do a YouTube video. Here, let's do this. So this is Glenn Beck. It's a Blaze. I'm going to go to the Blaze. Pun not intended. So let's go to Glenn Beck here. Mr. Aquarius, Glenn Beck. So this happened in Rochester. No justice, no peace. BLM protesters reportedly burned black-owned business during Rochester riots. And the owner who built his business out of poverty is livid. So there we go. Now they show up. Oh, okay. A little late, don't you think? A little late, fellas. What's wrong with that scene? Yeah. A little late there. Jesse Barksdale, black owner. Now, normally it would just be an owner. But because of context, I guess now we have to identify, we have to racially and ethnically identify. Multi-purpose store that leases U-Haul vehicles. So if you want to get out of Rochester now, apparently you got to do business with somebody else besides Jesse Barksdale. Was livid after Black Lives Matter demonstrators reportedly set fire to at least 3 of his trucks in the early hours of Sunday morning. A sign hangs outside of Barksdale's business, proud to be black owned, but that apparently didn't stop who are believed to be Black Lives Matter demonstrators from burning down his business. The city has erupted in riots and demonstrations following the release of body cam footage capturing the late Daniel Prude's arrest in March. So we're going all the way back to March now. This is a Mars retrograde. See, we can see Mars retrograde in action. And of course, we have Mars buried in March right there. Prude died after being detained by members of the Rochester Police Department. Again, we don't know what happened. His family is now calling for the officers who've been suspended to be charged with murder. So this happened with Freddie Gray. And once Freddie Gray was picked up, and Freddie Gray was already in a pretty bad physical state, he started throwing himself around on the inside of the old paddy wagon and hurt himself. But again, we don't really know with a lot of these events. We just really don't know. So here we go. This is Barksdale's. These are Barksdale's trucks right here. State Street at Brown. Mullen, who tweeted, 3 U-Haul trucks destroyed at J Ribs on State Street. Owner Jesse Barksdale says he was bounced out of bed to respond, livid over the destruction of his business. Proud to be black owned. He had a sign up there. This is basically like saying, hey, don't burn these things. Later on Sunday, the business Facebook page shared an update about the vandalism. Last night, our business fell victim to violence spurred by misdirected anger. I wanted to make this post to share J Ribs on State Street is a native Rochester-owned business. We certainly are not the enemy in this scenario and are deeply saddened by the violence that occurred last night. The post continued, in these trying times, as Rochesterians, we need to come together for our city and build each other up. The post added, we hope you can all help us spread peace, love, and positivity going forward. I've had several people reach out about what they can do to help or where they can send donations. I've attached my Venmo account, the post included. We're in no way requesting donations, but it is there for those who would like. The best thing you could do to help would be to come by the shop, chat with us, meet us, help us grow our business by being a patient. I guess he sells ribs. I'm assuming he sells ribs. J Ribs. I'm thinking it's a rib place that rents out U-Haul trucks. Maybe it's an all-purpose kind of experience. Barksdale and his business were both featured in July in the Democrat and Chronicle. I guess those are newspapers. Barksdale, who also serves barbecue at his convenience store, grew up in poverty in the city, was raised by his aunt after his mother died and his father was jailed. According to the feature, Barksdale took special education classes in school because he wasn't academically on the right track. He barely graduated from high school despite his struggles as a young man. Barksdale overcame and found himself happily at his store in the early morning hours of the morning every day to cut vegetables and prepare food for his customers. In life, you have to be persistent. Yes, you do. And I guess another group has found that that it pays for them to be persistent. Now, what's really bizarre is that I actually saw a, where are we? Let me go back here. Hold on. Come back, Johnny. Here we go. I actually saw that there were people who were blaming potential right-wing protesters of burning that guy's U-Haul trucks. How do we know that some right-wing counter-protester didn't do that? This is the mindset now. Nobody can trust anything anymore. Nobody can trust anything anymore. But that happened. It happened. It's not the first time it happened, by the way. It's been happening all along. There was a woman in New York City whose bakery deli she was part owner in. It got trashed. There were so-called black-owned businesses in Kenosha that got burned and trashed. It's not an uncommon occurrence. And by putting out your virtue signal sign, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What they saw was U-Haul, and U-Haul is a corporate entity. It's a corporate logo. And, there's this, it's symbolic of burning down the escape routes too. So, what's going on in Rochester now, of course, Andrew Cuomo, Mr. Pierce Nipples, that, Andrew Cuomo has all the hallmarks of a guy that goes to underground S&M parties in New York City. Doesn't it feel that way? He has got the underground S&M vibe. And then you've got his brother who hangs out with Michael Cohen. Really? He hangs out with Michael Cohen? Questionable choices. But Cuomo is like, nah, we don't need any help. If Trump sends the National Guard, Trump comes here, he'll need the Trump he's got Trump Tower. He's got a freaking building in New York City that theoretically he pays property taxes on, and he can't even go to New York City. Wild, huh? Absolutely wild. So that's been happening. It has not stopped. Where we are has not abated. It has not abated at all. Not at all. It has continued to escalate. It has continued to escalate. In Oregon, your governor has decided to extend the lockdown until Election Day. Isn't that convenient? The Democrats will open their states on November 4th. Okay. Great. November 4th. Of course. Of course. Of course they will. All right, here we go. We got another incident here hitting the screen. This is Oh boy. Here we go. This is an incident that did not make national TV. This is on Monday, September 7th. Here's the other side of where things are. This is the crank. And I'm sorry, there are days when the news is better, and there are days when the news is not so great. But again, we have to face this. Spanish Fort, this is in Alabama. This guy went into a Bass Pro Shops. Look at this. Are you going to be hearing about this? And look, I'm not here to typecast this brother, okay? I'm not here to say that, this is why I'm not doing this. I'm basically showing this because the media has a particular slant. And we know that for a fact. But let's read this. It was a frightening weekend at Bass Pro Shops in Spanish Fort. The incident being what police believe could have been a mass shooting. The store isn't letting Saturday shootings stop them with their doors still being open on Monday. Members of the community are aware of the shooting and are thankful it didn't turn into anything worse. Thank you, police, for their quick response. Good thing it wasn't Rochester. Let's see. Here we go. So Robert Smith, 38, is in custody. He's charged with resisting arrest, reckless endangerment, discharging a firearm into an occupied building, and second-degree assault relating to injuring an officer. Those are minor charges, actually. Let's read this. The employee says they saw Smith firing several rounds into the store Saturday from 2 different semi-automatic rifles. Police then stunning Smith, arresting before anyone was hurt. Thank God. Police Chief John Barber says Smith was wearing a bulletproof vest. The chief says he had 3 AR-type rifles, 1 AR pistol, a 9mm rifle, a shotgun, and 2 pistols with several hundred rounds of ammunition. Let me just think about this. How do you get 3 AR-type rifles, an AR pistol, a 9mm rifle? How do you do that? Look, I know a little bit about this stuff. That's almost impossible to bring all that in. And with several hundred rounds of ammunition? Are you kidding me? I don't know. Question mark story here. Question mark story. See? Even myself, with the eyes of discernment, I'm questioning this. Because that is a lot to carry. 3 AR type, 3? And you got an AR pistol, and you got a 9mm rifle, and a shotgun. Where are you going to put all that stuff? Where are you going to put it all? Are you rolling in there with a shopping cart? I'm sorry. Perhaps this happened. But that's a lot of firearms and a lot of ammo for one person to haul in. You don't expect it to happen this close to home, but I mean, God willing, no one was hurt. Chief Barber says he has no doubt if Smith wasn't stopped so quickly, this could have been a mass shooting. He says there was a woman with Smith. Okay, so maybe she hauled some of the guns in. Channel 3 attempted to reach out to the corporate office of Bass Pro. We have not heard back. Very unusual event here in Spanish Fort, Alabama. So one has to ask oneself, how did the police get there so quickly? How did they get there so quickly? In most cases, the police aren't there. In most cases, they aren't there. So who owns Bass Pro Shops? Does anybody know? I'll tell you who owns Bass Pro Shops. Paul Singer. Paul Singer owns Bass Pro Shops. He also owns Cabela's. He bought Bass Pro Shops. He did a hostile takeover with Cabela's. Paul Singer is, I believe, a 45 to 48% shareholder in Twitter. That's his store. And Paul Singer is a vulture capitalist, and he is not a good dude. He's not a good dude. Sorry to say. Sorry to break the news to you. So that happened in one of his stores. Paul Singer mastermind that thing? I don't know. I really don't know. But it's very unusual that something like this would be stopped. Now, maybe this might show up on Tucker Carlson tonight. Who knows? I don't know. But it is certainly an event that, I'm glad nobody was hurt. Let's just be clear about that. And maybe that woman was hauled in or brought in or came in because she was helping him carry all those weapons. But again, we have to question what's going on with, these events and the media. Nothing is as it seems. Nothing. We are living in a time of Maya, real Maya. And especially now with Neptune opposing the sun, the next couple of days they're just Maya filled. So you have to, you've got to have your high beams on. So I'm not going to sit here and hand wring over that and say, see, this happened, media isn't covering it. We don't know. Again, we don't know. We don't know the genesis behind that event. How do cops get there so quickly? That's always the thing that kind of boggles my mind. All these other events, cops never show up. Like that Walmart shooting in El Paso, like where were the cops? Where were the cops? Where's the video of the Walmart shooting? These Walmarts have sophisticated video equipment. And what do we get? We get grainy CCTV from the 1970s. It's like, hello, 1970s calling, and they want their CCTV back. That's what we get. It's like, what is that? What is that? What's going on there? It looks like a guy. Was that the guy? We're not sure that's the guy. That happens all the time. So even an event like this, watch out for the psychological driver. Watch out for the psychological momentum. See, I'm even putting an asterisk and a disclaimer on that story. Because the easy thing would be, oh, look at that. This is, look at that. We got to be careful. Look at this guy. See, he doesn't fit the narrative. Oh yeah, look at that. Gee, does Black Lives Matter? Got this guy in check. I mean, you got to be careful. You have to be careful sometimes. You have to really filter things through. I'm just very suspicious, highly suspicious when the cops show up so quickly. Maybe that's really how they're supposed to do their job. How do they get there so damn fast? Like if you're hauling in all those guns, you would think that maybe, just maybe, you might be able to get one shot off in the AR, theoretically, or in a situation like that, if you were really that deranged, you'd probably use a shotgun because it would have the greatest, dispersal. Not that I'm advocating using a shotgun in a situation like that. I'm just kind of in their head, right? The whole thing's bizarre. We are living in a bizarre world, total bizarre world. However, that said, it is not a world without humor. It is not a world without justice. It is not a world without deep irony. And I'm going to show you some deep irony so that you could have your Schadenfreude moment of the day. And trust me, if you haven't seen it, somebody's misfortune in this case can actually be a bit uplifting. I hate to say it. I've indulged in it a few times. I'm not too proud to share that with you. So let's. Where do you see this? Where do you see this? This goes right back to the webinar that I did on Saturday about Hermes the trickster. Hermes the trickster. Let's see if we can find this thing. Oh, this is Portland. It's my bad. It's not Rochester. This is Portland. But you got to see this. This will get you. There. We got a Schadenfreude moment. Schadenfreude alert. Schadenfreude alert. Here we go. Let this be a cautionary tale, please. Let this be a cautionary tale for all of you Molotov cocktail makers at home. If you haven't seen this, here it goes. Cocktail clown, Portland protester, set ablaze after throwing Molotov cocktail at himself. Here is the true node in Gemini in full effect. Come on, U.S. Sun. Warning. Okay, there's your warning. You can leave now. He's got a hot foot. I can guarantee you that this will make Tucker tonight as well. I'm going to play it again if you haven't seen it. I'm going to hold back laughter just a little bit because I want to be able to show a modicum of respect on some level here. And we don't want that. And we don't want that right now. Let's try one more time. One more time. Here we go. So here, let's do a few stills. So this guy throws a Molotov cocktail and his feet catch on fire. And again, this is very Hermes-like because when we see Hermes, what does he have? He's got wings on his feet, right? If this guy could fly away, trust me, he would. So he throws a Molotov cocktail. And now it happens. Well, he's got a hot foot. And of course, it's always 4th of July in Portland. That should be Portland's tourism slogan. It's always 4th of July in Portland. That's Rochester right there. Peaceful demonstrations. They're not so peaceful. The Portland protester could be seen writhing in pain as he struggled to put out the flames, do stupid things. Stupid things will happen. In some cities, protesters targeted outdoor diners. Salt Lake City rally this weekend was in support of the parents' right to refuse mandates. Unmask the children. There we go. Nice NASA shirt. And there are our sworn protectors. What is this? Oh, God. Is this the next thing now? What is this? Oh, it's in South Africa. All right. Stay away from that. Let's get back to the funny shit. One more time. Let's do one more time. So what's very interesting about this video is that once it happens, who comes in and literally saves his soul or souls? It's the cops. The cops come in. The same cops that they're fighting against come in and put out the fire on his feet. Warning. Souls on fire. Look at look at him high step. Look at him high step. Smother it. Smother it. Some guy in the side said, smother it. Smother it. Yeah. Easy for him to say. Here we go. Okay, this is a new thing right here. This is a new thing. They have people who are part of the riots with video cameras and performing certain functions. And they're basically proclaiming that they are press, which means hands off. Press. There it is again. I'm sorry. It was kind of hilarious the first time I saw it. Maybe you were able to derive some Schadenfreude out of the deal, but this is what happens. This is the trickster energy right now. And if you basically embody the trickster, the spirit of the trickster, the disruptor, and you do it in a way that is damaging, guess what? You're going to pay a price. You will pay a price. You may not pay a price in the court of law, but you may pay a price in essentially nature and reality extracting its due and toll from you with a situation like that. So, what is the moral story? Don't riot, don't set Molotov cocktails. And guess what? Your feet may not catch on fire. Your souls may not burn in this world or the next. Okay? Crazy, right? Crazy. But at the same time, unintentionally kind of hilarious. Unintentionally kind of hilarious. So where are we now? Well, we're headed into the gauntlet. That's where we're headed now. We are headed into the gauntlet. Mars is getting ready to go stationary. Tomorrow we have 9/9, which should be a very interesting day, just based on the numerological power of the day itself. And then we have 9/10, which is the Mars retrograde. And then we have Mars retrograde for a while. And of course, I covered that on the Sunday night show. If you haven't listened to the Sunday night show, I'll put a link in the description for the Sunday night show. And I get into Mars retrograde quite a bit, and also sort of the roots of the groups that are predominantly protesting. In fact, one group, mostly Antifa, and I look at the sort of the dark spiritual godfather, or the spiritual dark spiritual godfather of Antifa, Ernst Thälmann, who starts the very first kind of Antifa brigade. And then the second iteration of that, which really starts in 1993 in Sweden. That's all there. It's all on Sunday Night Astro Live, and a number of other things talking about where we are right now. And one of the things that I did want to stress, because we're kind of in that window, it's really the beginning of the week for a lot of people. And one of the things that I talk about are the emotional presets that we have in our lives right now, because consensus reality has defined emotional presets for us, right? You're frustrated, you're resentful, you're pissed off, you're tired, you're depressed, you might be demoralized. These are the emotional presets, right? That's what we have. And we have all these events that set up these emotional presets. So the challenge is to operate outside of the emotional presets. And part of how you do that in some ways is turn off media. Because if you take in too much media, guess what will happen? You will wind up being essentially truncated and put inside the box. You will be put inside the Saturnian cube. And so you will then operate out of these emotional presets. And it's like a Skinner box. So you have to figure out how to operate outside of the emotional presets. And it's not that hard. It is not that hard. You can do things that are simple. You can change your patterns. You can change what you listen to. You can change what you eat. You can change how you go about the business and the order of your day. You can dare yourself to be happy. You could dare yourself to find a small sliver of joy in your life. Like, we all have something to be happy about. We all have something to be joyful about, even if it's one tiny kernel, if it's one tiny seed. One tiny seed, you can water that seed, because that's what they don't want you to do. They don't want you to experience that joy. They don't want you to experience the plenitude of spirit. They don't want you to experience fraternity, brotherhood, sisterhood, family. No, everybody's hidden behind a mask. They don't want any of that. So your challenge is to disrupt that. Your challenge is to find sort of the divine thread that runs through your experience right now. It connects you right up to that silver cord of who you are at a much higher level. Okay, that's what your challenge is. And you can meet that challenge. It is not difficult. It is not difficult. Do one thing a day. I've been practicing and preaching. Do something that, challenges you. Face your fear. 21-day challenge. Some people are doing it. If you haven't done it, try 7 days. Do 7 days in a row. Do something where you have to face yourself. The flip side of that is, if you want to say, hey, look, I've faced my fears, that's fine. Do something that, just exhibits some love, not in a selfish way, but in a loving way, right? That feeds who you are, that feeds your spirit so you can feed other people. These things are important. Yep, we're in a conflict. Yep, we're in a transition. Yep, we're in between worlds. Yep, there are forces that are absolutely in the business of dominating your consciousness and your attention. That is without a doubt. But you're not going to be worth a shit unless you take care of yourself. And there's a wide spectrum potentiality for that. Okay, wide spectrum. So you can face your fear, and you can love yourself. Do something loving. Do something that will feed whatever it is that you can feed in your life for you, spiritually, emotionally, otherwise. That's it. You do that. You operate outside the emotional presets. You operate outside the Skinner box because that's what they want. That's where they want to put everybody. And sometimes anger and sometimes moral outrage is the right response. Really is. I'm not saying that that's not, that you can't go there. Obviously, you can go there. And there are times where it's important. But if we continue to be, going down that path all the time, it can be very tiring, very, very tiring. One of the things I was thinking about, and I'll leave on this, is that, what does it mean to be a multidimensional person? What does it mean to have a multidimensional experience? Does it mean that you can carry on a conversation with your ancestors on the Pleiades? Could you commune with Davic and elemental energies? Is that what it means? Can you talk to the animals and the animals talk back? Can you have conversations with the dead? Can you talk to your past and future self? Right? Is this what multidimensionality means? For some people, the answer to that probably would be yes. But I would like to bring together or bring forth another definition of multidimensionality. And multidimensionality means that you have the opportunity to experience any number of different things in your day, in your life, and even in the moment. So you can experience any number of emotions. You can experience joy, grief, moral outrage, empathy, compassion. You can experience humor. You can experience any of these things. They're all available to you. All of them. That spectrum of feeling, that spectrum of emotional output, that's a definition of multidimensionality. And that's a way to access it where you don't necessarily have to be tested on the fact that you're sitting down in a classroom on Tralfamadore looking at and studying your past lives. Yes, it can be like that, but it can also just be the multiverse of your personal expression in this lifetime. So wrap your head around that a little bit. Okay, so these are some cool things that you can think about. Okay, cool things you can think about. All right, let me just do a quick chat in chat. Let's see what we've got here. You guys are so smart. I don't know if I can get to the comments on chat. Where are the tears to the victims of institutional pedophilia? I'm way behind in chat. You're absolutely right. Steve, you're right. Where are they? Yeah, these people, they're just, Kirk Herbstreit. Forget about it. Forget about it. Every medical professional I've had to encounter this week, bullied and broken by fear of losing their jobs. Yep. It's come down to that. That's what it's come down to. People are being pushed into a corner. I had a reading with a super nice client yesterday in New York City. They're a nurse. And a nurse in New York City. Yeah, she's been watching Kurt Russell, Escape from New York. Let's put it that way. All right. Hey, listen, I'll be back tomorrow. Bye for now. Thank you for being here. I'll have links in the description for today's show. And today it looks like I'm off to get a computer. The old Macaroo. The old Macaroo is taking its last tour today. So that way I can be able to go do this outside, and because I like broadcasting outside. Okay, for the event, listen, you got 2 days. 2 days for the event. Now, here's what you could do for the event. When I say 2 days, here's what you've got. Number one, there's a deadline to get your room. That's tomorrow. Okay, so if you want to stay in the hotel, which would be a nice thing, you don't have to. There are other hotels in town. You're welcome to do that. But you want to stay in a hotel that hotel, you got to get your room by tomorrow. Okay. I would like for as many people to be signed up by tomorrow. If you have to wait a couple days, if you got to wait to the end of the week, and I got a commitment from you, like Friday's your day, I can extend the sign up for the event. The room thing has to be taken care of by tomorrow. So whether you're staying with us or you're staying around us, you have to take care of that. I'm willing to extend the personal thing out to the Friday. Friday's it. After that, we're locked. Everything's going to be accounted for. We got a head count. That's going to go to the, what we're going to be eating, the events we got planned. It's all going to be factored in at that point. And Friday will be your last day to get me any kind of cash for the event. Okay, that's it. So tomorrow, room deadline. Friday, send me an email. I can wait, but that's it. Friday's it. Okay. There'll be links to all that as well here in the description of the show. All right. Use your head to discern what's real, your heart to set what's possible. This is Robert Phoenix. And love everybody here. You guys are the best. Absolute best. And I'm looking forward to meeting a bunch of new people this year. I'm really psyched and very excited that there are a number of new people that are going to be coming to the event. I'm really happy. So congratulations for taking that step. We're going to have a great time. And it'll be a time of being energized and really sort of stepping outside your emotional presets. There we go. Have a great day. Bye for now.